All right, welcome everybody to the Administration and Public Works Committee. It is December 13th. It is a Monday, and it looks like we have a quorum. But just to be sure, because I believe we have a member tuning in virtually, let's do a roll call. Luke?
Councilmember Kelly, Councilmember Braithwaite, Councilmember Nusma.
Here.
Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Braithwaite's here.
All right. So we do have a quorum. And next up is the Public Service Employee Recognition.
Thank you, Councilmember Burns and members of the committee. Dave Stomack, Public Works Director. Tonight we're going to celebrate employees that have been with the city for more than 25 years, and it's their every fifth anniversary, 25, 30, 35, or 40 years with the city. Because this event did not occur in last year in 2020 because of COVID, there's actually 30 employees that we're going to celebrate tonight. 11 of those are here to receive their certificate. So if I could ask Mayor Biss to come forward, and then Megan, you want to come up to the podium?
Okay, so our first employee is Stephen O'Sullivan from the City Manager's Office, Revenue and Collections, with 25 years of service. Thank you so much. Wonderful, thank you. And from Administrative Services, the Parking Enforcement and Tickets Division, Corinne Alston, with 25 years. Thank you so much.
One for me too. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. From the Parks and Recreation Division at the Levy Center, Sylvia Jones with 25 years of service. Oh, a few years behind. 25 and counting. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sylvia. From the library, the Early Learning and Literacy Division, with 25 years, Lee Kennelly. With 40 years of service from a department that's near and dear to my heart, Kathy Brown from Human Resources.
Thank you.
With 25 years from our police department, Stanley Sampson.
One for me. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And also from our police department with 30 years of service, Susan Ponarelli.
for me. Great, thanks.
Thank you. From our Public Works Agency with 25 years of service, Keith Kleiner. Okay. Also from our Public Works Department with 25 years of service, Angelo Alonzo.
One, two, three. Great, thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay. From our Traffic Division of our Public Works Agency with 35 years of service, Gerald Franklin.
Three. All right, thanks.
Thanks so much. And our last employee to be recognized this evening with over 35 years of service in our Public Works Department is Mr. Dave Stoneback.
Congrats, Dave.
Wonderful.
One, two, three. Thanks.
Thank you so much to all our employees. We wish you many more years of service.
And we have one more certificate. If Councilmember Braithwaite would come up, please. With 10 years of service. So thank you for participating. The 11 people that received their certificates tonight have a total of 295 years of work service with the City of Evanston. And then again, there were 19 employees that couldn't be here. Lorraine Stringfield with 35 years at the library. Jim Merzen, Public Works Agency water plant operator with 35 years. James Todd, a Public Works Agency forestry crew leader, 35 years. Renee Shotsky, administrative hearings with 30 years. Dennis Lawrence in fleet maintenance with 30 years. Samuel Johnson in Parks and Rec at the Crown Center, 30 years. John Rucci, Parks and Rec at the Crown Center, 30 years. John McCoy, Public Works Agency filter plant, 30 years. Tony Galati, Forestry Division, 30 years. Garland Jackson, Greenways, 30 years. John Kimball, Public Works and Greenways, 30 years. Carrie Serge Derlauser, I apologize for that, Parking Enforcement Tickets, 25 years. Lucas Larry, Fleet Service Maintenance, 25 years. Calindra De La Rosa, Police Records, 25 years. Alonzo Duval, Parks and Rec Ecology Center, 25 years. Janice Boja, Early Learning Literacy Library, 25 years. John Cheminsky, Streets Division, Public Works, 25 years. John Hickman, Streets Department, Public Works, 25 years. And Patrick Kennedy, Streets Department, 25 years. In total, that was another 545 years of work with the city with those employees. So 1995 was a good year to hire for the city of Evanston. There's 11 employees celebrating 25 years of service during this occasion. So thank you for your time and allowing us to do this.
no video? Councilman Reed said there's no video. Yeah, I just sent the text and it was good on we're doing approval. And then
There's no video. I can't see the council chambers. That's the video that is an issue. There's no video in the council chambers.
Because you're looking at yourself. We're looking at yourself.
Yeah, we definitely got to do it. I'm just trying to see where to put it. We can do it next.
Public comment is on,
You see it on yours? Before the consent calendar. Oh, I see it now. Okay. Yep. Okay, yeah. We're good? Councilman Reed, is it fixed now? The video?
Yes.
Okay.
This is.
All right, we're going to pick back up. Just want to personally say congratulations to everyone. I think it was the 20th and 25th and 30th and 35th and on and on and on. It shows, it says a lot about the city, says even more about the character of the employees here, that they're willing to stick it out and come here every day. It's not often that we get a chance to interact with staff, so it was wonderful to see you here today and your family. And to your families, thank you for sharing your loved ones with this city. It's great to see folks out. I see folks tree trimming, and I was just at the Ecology Center a few days ago with my son and saw Sylvia there who was filling in, and it's great to see you out in the community. So thank you for your service. And we're going to carry on with today's meeting and pick back up at the approval of the regular Administration and Public Works Committee meeting from October 25th. It looks like it's October 25th, November 8th, and November 22nd. If I can have someone move.
I'll move approval of those minutes of October 25th, November 8th, and November 22nd.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right.
Councilmember Braithwaite, Councilmember Nusma,
Aye.
Councilmember Burns,
Aye.
Councilmember Reed,
Aye.
Councilmember Braithwaite's an aye.
Okay, next up, and just to be, just for the record, the motion was made by Councilmember Nusma,
Yes.
and the second was Councilmember Reed.
Reed.
Just for the record. Next up, we have public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to make a comment at this time?
I believe it's Mike Vassilko.
All right, Mike Vasilko, are you with us?
I am.
All right.
I just have one question. I mean, first of all, the bills list is kind of ridiculous, but you've heard that from me before. But the one big item, over $14 million being, what appears to be being put towards the debt. I'd like to know what pot of money that's coming out of. And if somebody could just take the rest of my time and answer that question, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike, could you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Just asking, there's a over $14 million payment being made, what I'm guessing is towards our debt. And I'd just like to know where that money's coming from. Is it coming from a former GEO bond that we borrowed, or how's it being paid for?
Yes, Kate, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
Good evening. Kate Lewis-Lakin, Budget Manager. Hitesh Desai, our CFO, is out sick tonight, so I'll be here for the meeting. So the debt service is paid annually on all of the bonds that the city has outstanding. The post-bond issuance report is also in your packet tonight, so you can see the detail of what bonds we have outstanding. That $14 million is covering principal and interest payments for December 2021 on all of those bonds. So it's not one specific issue, it's all of them. That's coming primarily from property taxes that are levied specifically for bonds. It's also coming from other sources that are included in the budget every year, determined and codified through the debt abatement ordinances of bonds that may be being paid by the parking fund, water fund, solid waste fund, other funds that are a non-property tax source of funding for the bonds. So it's a mix of those, primarily property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Any other comments by the public? That's it. All right. Seeing none, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. And let me, you got a pen or something? Thanks. Well, first let's move the consent calendar.
Well, listen, I'd like to remove A7 for a quick question.
I move that we start through the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Yeah, we move first. I'm sorry, what are you removing? Sorry, Councilmember Newsome.
A7.
A7, okay, anything else? All right, can someone move the consent calendar with everything excluding A7? All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none.
Councilmember Nusma,
Aye.
Councilmember Burns,
Aye.
Councilmember Reed,
Aye.
Councilmember Braithwaite.
Aye.
All right, can someone move A7?
I'll move item A7, the purchase of one Ford 750 with Elliott aerial lift, one Ford F450 4x4, and one Case Model 721G wheel loader for the Public Works Agency, and one Pierce Enforcer pumper for the Fire Department.
All right, I will second that. Discussion goes to Councilmember Braithwaite first.
You know, it's on another item, so I just realized something that I want to change, but we'll hear this.
Okay. Councilmember
Yeah,
Newsom.
I just had a question from Mr. Cholik about the purchasing cooperative and how that works, and I just want to make sure we're getting the best deal possible here.
Sure. Good evening. Let me take this off. Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. Sean Cholik, Facilities and Fleet Management. The way these cooperative purchasing agreements work is that these consortiums go out and they look for the best pricing out there. They put a bid package out. They locate what the best price is, and then they award that. And it's every time that we've gone out and get pricing outside of that, it is, you know, the lowest price that we can find. So we generally go to those to obtain bids from them.
Okay, so in this case, you just went straight to the consortium. We didn't try and get a competitive bid because history has shown that consortium is always the best deal.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Sure.
All right. Any other discussion about this item or a different item? Okay, I think we're ready to vote on this.
Okay, I have it. A motion was made by Nusma, seconded by Burns. Councilmember Reed,
Aye.
Councilmember Braithwaite,
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma,
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Chair Burns.
Yes, Councilmember Reed.
Yes, I see that we're at the end of the agenda. I'm sorry. I did want to, my apologies, I should have pulled item A3 2013, I believe it is. It's just accepting and placing on file a report, but I did just want to get, I guess, maybe Kate to speak about it. I think we can do this without having to go through a reconsideration vote. If just Kate can give some top level insights from the bond report that we adopted and placed on file.
A16. Kate, would you mind? Thank you.
Hello. So the post-bond issuance is a report that we provide after we have made the payment sort of at the end of the year, and we make, again, a large payment on the bonds in December, so it's sort of supposed to cover after that payment has been made. The report just shows at the second page of it all of the city's outstanding current bonds with their date of issuance, final maturity date, original amount, and the balance as of year end. So the next payment on any of these bonds has been included in the 2022 budget, along with any funding sources appropriate for those bonds. Our balance on all bonds as of December 31st, 2021 is $189 million. Much of that is paid through property taxes, but then there are portions also that, again, are abated through other funding sources. But that's our total outstanding bond debt at this time.
Thank you, Kate. And I think that's an important number just to be stated. And that, two questions. That represents what percentage of our total debt? And if you have a rough number, that's fine.
So that is our total general obligation debt. I don't have the comparison of how that then goes against, IEPA debt that our sewer and water funds would hold, or pension, outstanding pension obligations would be our other two forms of long-term liabilities.
Okay, thank you. And then last question I believe that I have here is I'm looking at the, there's the, 2013 through 2021, typically A and B bonds. We did not do an A and B in 2020, and maybe a few other years. There's a year we had a couple of years we had C. I'm looking at 2013 A, and I know that we refinanced some debt. I don't remember if 2013 A was one of, and I think that would have eliminated that if we did refinance. I'm just curious. So the original amount was 12 million, and the balance as of the end of this year will be 8.5 million. So it seems to be one of that along with 2015 A maybe seem to be the two where we've paid off almost the least amount of that. So why is there a difference in how we've paid some of these off? For example, I'm looking at as well, some other years where we've paid off. For example, the 2013 B, the original amount was 28 million, and the balance is 5 million. So we've been paying that off at a quicker rate than the A's, the 2013 A.
Yep. So the different bonds are just structured in different ways, and that's a determination that's made when we issue the bonds each year. Typically in this list, and this is not always consistent, but a lot of the A bonds are going to be new money issued for capital projects, whereas B bonds are often a refunding issuance. Those refunding issuances tend to be a shorter time frame with higher payments each year, whereas money for new bonds tends to be a 20-year at least bond with more even payments spread throughout. So something like the 2013 bonds, those are a 20-year life. We've paid a portion of them down just based on how the schedule was constructed when the bonds were issued. There may have been more payments made, at the beginning, at the end. Some of these are scheduled to sort of stage up towards the end of their life a bit in order to sort of space out our debt obligations as a whole. Every year when we issue bonds, we're looking at sort of where all of our existing bonds are going in the next couple of years. And into sort of the future of their life, and making sure that any new debt we issue is sort of stacking appropriately into where our debt obligations are going on the existing bonds we have. And 2013s have not been refunded yet, so 2012s were the ones that were refunded this year.
Okay, yeah, just thank you for that, Kate. I'm just looking at it, and I'm seeing, that the 2013 bonds were almost 10 years into those, so halfway through. that, and we're not nearly halfway through paying for them. And so it seems as though, particularly in the last 5 to 10 years of that bond, that the payments are going to balloon quite exponentially. And so just thinking about that, as we get closer and closer to those payments. Thank you, Kate.
Councilmember Newsom.
Sorry, so as of December 31st, we will have an outstanding balance of $189,025,000.
That is correct. In
Right.
total general obligation
Total-
bonds, yes.
Right.
So the city also has, a debt.
Additional debt. But if
Yeah,
we're focused just on the GO bonds here.
Correct.
How does that number, 189 million and change, compare to this time last year and the year before that? And if we could look ahead a year or two as well, like what kind of trend are we on here?
Sure. I would say just off the top of my head and what I've seen, that is pretty similar to what we've seen in the past. I believe it's a little bit lower than it would have been 1 and 2 years ago because we had a lower issuance in 21 than we've had in past years. So, when we issue less debt in a given year, we're usually retiring a little bit more that year, and the total comes down a little bit. But we can provide, we've sort of put together in the past a multi-year look at this number, and that's something we could provide, in the near future here. Going forward, if we were ever to not issue more debt, this number would steadily decrease each year as debt is retired. It is the city's practice to issue new debt for capital projects every year. So the aim is usually to keep this number about flat, other than when there is a large capital project that debts are issued for, and then that would sort of bring the full number up as a total.
All right. And is there any limit? At some point, do we reach a ceiling?
Yep, so the limit that is set by City Council, the number is 155 million. Why that is different and lower than this number is because that is the amount of tax-supported general obligation debt. That's how the policy is stated, is that's tax-supported. So we are currently under that limit. I don't have that exact number on hand, but we stay below that limit on tax-supported debt, and then the remainder is again supported by the water fund or other funding sources that are not property taxes.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions or comments about this item? Okay, thank you, Kate. And then Councilmember Braithwaite, I think you had a comment and question about item A8.
Yes, Mr. Chair, my apologies. The velocity was moving so quick, I wasn't paying attention. So item A8, and I don't know if we need to read it in order to make an edit before it goes to City Council.
What's the edit?
So it's going to be, the sign should read, instead of Judge, Honorable, HON, period, Lionel Jean Baptiste Way. So for the members of the public, it's Resolution 29-R21, the designation of an honorary street sign. I want to thank Director Hemingway and his staff for getting this on the agenda. There's just the one change that I'd like to make before we read it to council. And for those, just for the record, speak to Judge Lionel Jean-Baptiste, long service to our Evanston community. And prior to joining City Council, he's very involved with our NAACP, an advocate for education as well as our youth and seniors. He spent over 10 years as an alderman of the 2nd Ward. He was one of the founding fathers of our reparations movement, both locally as well as advocating on the federal level. And he continues to serve our community faithfully as a judge. So if we can capture those things in the minutes, that would be great. And with that, I just want to make that edit, and then we can move it along.
We can make that amendment at council as well, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I wanted to.
So we'll let the minutes reflect. Yeah.
That's fine. Either
Okay.
way, whichever way saves
Absolutely.
time. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Seeing no other items on the agenda. There's no items for discussion. This meeting is adjourned.